You're waiting for something. You want a beverage?
No, I was just somebody get me an iPhone charger.
Oh, iPhone charger. Just knock. I can
it's
chop
more.
it out later.
You know, it's worth more to me than water.
Is your phone not dying?
Yeah.
Have you done that? No, you see your dudes are like minimalist. So you have like your phone and your wallet are the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you could I have two phones.
Ooh.
Because I have that chick thing where like if I was stuck down an alley and someone's about to kill me, what if I had no phone coverage? Don't ask me how I would fight.
That's why I have
the
no
person
music on
opposite.
my phone.
Right. Oh, so it will never. You don't use
I don't
crazy
put any
talking on it.
No, anything because I don't want to. Because if you use music, it's using battery, and I don't want to get killed because I was listening to Ja Rule.
Which would be a terrible fucking reason to die.
It's like, if I didn't listen to Ja Rule, I'd have some power to call.
It's just one more thing to blame Ja Rule for. Really.
Yeah.
One more terrible thing. Thank you for doing my show.
Yeah, sure.
I'm super excited.
Hey.
And it happened magically. It's literally like a magic trick. Like I was here and then it's happening.
Hey.
It's like going on a date on Saturday night. We were drinking. Now we're in bed. The phone's being plugged in.
Oh, thank you.
So
I can run my little
do you have a little thing?
my little empire.
There we go. So it's interesting because one great thing about you, because there's just the one, Chris, is you've had such an expansive career. A lot of times what I do with people is I go like, I want to talk all about how you started and everything. I feel like people know some of that about you.
Anybody that's listening to a podcast of a comedian probably
knows.
I would hope.
Yeah. I mean, probably knows. They know like you're like a superhero. Like they know your origin story.
They know the hits.
Yeah, they know the big ones.
Not the album track.
No B-sides. Yeah, no underground shit, no live pieces, but they do know those 8 songs. So it forces me to kind of be more creative about the way that I get in. But I do want to talk specifically about outsidership because I feel like that's the thing that was the most formative for you, being an outsider.
Right.
And I feel like it's rare that you meet a comedian that wasn't an outsider. Everybody knows it, Chris. His family.
Every now and then, you meet one that was an insider.
Right.
It's
like
weird.
Yeah. And like Riggle. Rob Riggle like was a fucking quarterback and got laid and shit.
Adam Sandler.
Right.
Good his whole life at everything. Eddie Murphy.
Was he really? Was Eddie not? Really?
Coolest guy in school. You're like, really?
He's way too funny to have been
and
cool.
It's still going on. Will Smith, not a comedian, but funny guy.
Yeah.
Always been Will Smith.
Really? That's not fair,
Will
is it?
Smith in high school.
Right? No, like a little skinnier, but still awesome.
Yeah, still.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
What I feel like that's. Oh, and I'm not talking about like when people want to say, "Oh, comedians are all broken toys." I just mean about the idea that when you're on the outside and you're forced to be an observer, you become a critical mind. I mean, was there a point? I guess. Let's start here, even though this is not a new question for you. Were you a funny kid when you were going through all the shit you were going through when you were busted into the school? Were you funny then?
No, I was not funny then. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe in my head.
Yeah.
Maybe in my house, but I wasn't funny in school.
Right.
I wasn't getting kicked down flights of stairs and telling jokes at the same
time. How did that whole thing, I don't want to do all the steps, but I do want to set this up. Your parents decided to get you out of your neighborhood to send you to a better school.
I was born in 65.
Mm-hmm. And you were born in the South.
I was born in South Carolina, but we were in New York immediately.
Okay.
I was bused to school in 71.
Okay.
The Martin Luther King shot in 68.
Wow. You were lying when you said that. I was like, it's impossible because like
Martin
I was
Luther
born
King
before he
shot
died.
in 68.
Wow.
Right? The whatever LBJ signs whatever.
Yeah.
Late 68, 69.
Yeah.
So I was
the Voting Rights Act, right?
Yeah, Voting Rights Act. So I was the first black. Me and a couple other girls were the first black kids in the school we went to.
Wow.
And it was signs up, nigger go home, whatever. And some teachers called us nigger and whatever, and janitors and all sorts of shit like that.
Wow.
Along with the students.
Wow.
And their parents.
How prevalent? How frequent was that? Was that every day?
That was every day. But I mean, it's.
It was what it was. Yeah. I mean, it's not that I'm surprised. It just there's something about bald open racism. You always expect people to be racist like on the internet or in secret.
No. I actually experienced real racism.
Right.
But I feel lucky.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
do you feel like
most people are exaggerating when they talk about or they're.
Or they're paranoid. Or
they're paranoid based on my experiences.
Right. Yeah, based on some shit that happened to somebody else.
That actually happened to me. Yeah.
Was that shocking to you when it first started happening?
It was a little shocking. You gotta realize, too, my dad, so in 69, he was one of the first black drivers to drive to be a Teamster.
Okay.
And to drive for the Daily News and to drive for drive for all these places. So,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't crazy for my dad to like somebody throw a bag of piss at him or something.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, he was like one of the first black guys. Him and like 4 other guys were like the first, like literally the Jackie Robinsons of the truck drivers union.
Right, and all those the trades don't fuck around. They've never have. Yeah.
So we're not talking about the most sophisticated people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My dad was a construction worker, and I remember him talking about this. Like, you know, people would drop a brick on your car while you were in it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like a red. I mean like one of the big ass things you build, like, you know, like a bookshelf with, like a cinder block.
Yeah.
So you had that like swirling in the background through your father.
Yeah, it was, you know, my grandfather. My whole family moved from South Carolina, like not my immediate family, but my grandfather and my uncles and whatever. They moved because my grandfather, you know, like killed some white man in South Carolina.
Oh shit! Oh, well, that was serious.
Yeah. Legend has it. He's dead now, so I can say this.
And wow, and so, okay, so now
they like ran from South Carolina,
right? Did they?
Because there's a dead white man.
It was time to go.
You know, people talk about the back of the bus. They talk about, you know, lunch counters and all this stuff. They don't tell you that white people used to like just walk into black people's houses and take food and shit. Like,
no.
Yeah.
No. Come on.
Yeah.
That doesn't even fucking make sense
shit
to me.
They don't tell you. About.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Because, like, you know, especially like depression times or whatever.
Right.
White people are broke
come
too.
take your shit.
So
yeah.
Let's go into nigga town and take some food or take some coats, you know, whatever.
There's also that hierarchy of like whenever there's poverty, whenever there's some other shit going on. I mean, it's that like, you know, boss kicking man kicking dog kind of a thing. It's like we don't have anybody to kick.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go over here.
Yeah. So.
And he killed some white guys and then ran away. Did he kill them over coming to take his food?
The way I heard the story was, they came into the house. They came in the house to take some food or something. I forget what they came in the house, and he was having sex with my grandmother.
Oh.
And it just, like, freaked him, and he just beat him and some other guys who might be related to me.
It seems...
beat a black man to death.
It seems reasonable.
It seems very...
I mean, a murder is not reasonable on the whole, but...
It's like one of those stories that's passed down from...
Yes. It's like Apocrypha at this point.
Yeah. So I'll tell the story to my daughter someday, and then your granddaddy killed... Your great-granddaddy killed this white man.
Did they go find... And they went and found him later, or did it happen in the moment?
I think it happened in a moment.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
So, you go to this school, and you have a sense that this stuff has been happening to your father... But
it's swirling. It's everybody. Everybody, you know, my aunts and everybody, they're dealing with white people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a big... hey, I was born in Georgetown, South Carolina, February 7th. What are the odds I was born in a segregated wing of a hospital?
Right. Incredibly high.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
100%.
More than 100%.
More than 100%.
Yeah, so if there was a baby that even look a little dark in this movie.
Yeah.
This baby's got a tan.
Yeah.
Yeah. That line is pretty bright because we're not that far apart in age, and I feel like my mother went to a segregated school, segregated, you know, water fountains, everything. But
my mother said that they had no dentists in town, and the white dentists wouldn't, you know, white dentists would not do black teeth, so everybody had to go get their teeth done by the vet.
Fucking A.
All the black people had to get their teeth taken out or whatever by the vet. And even then, the vet wouldn't let you in the house. So you end up, like, getting your teeth worked on outside.
And I would imagine he's just like, we're pulling it. I mean, there was no, like, kind of fine dentistry, right?
Yeah,
like you
so
need
I'm born in
orthodontia.
65, and say my mother's, you know, whatever, 59.
Right.
This is going on to her.
Yeah.
My mother, not my great
not your
grandmother. Not some lady.
Somebody that was a sharecropper. No, your
like
mom.
My mother.
Yeah. But that's my point. I feel like you were straddling that bright line because the stuff my mother went through, the 70s were a buffer. I feel like there was a radical leap forward. It's not like racism. There was a radical leap forward in the way
70s
in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, slavery was over in the 70s.
that was when it ended finally.
The Jackson 5 ended slavery.
Once white people were like, look at them dance, they're adorable.
That's why we love Michael Jackson so much. Because Michael Jackson ended slavery.
I've never heard it explained quite like that, but it makes perfect sense. That was it. That was
Yeah.
So, as a black
Whenever
man
I
everybody could love.
Yeah, whenever I get a script and it's a period piece or something, I always go, I don't want to do anything that happened before the Jackson 5. There's nothing I want to do.
I can't even think of a story that. No,
There's no story. I don't care. I don't
It
care.
doesn't matter. Now,
It happened before the Jackson 5. I don't want anything to do with it.
So the fact that this was swirling in the background, you go to the school the first day, and then you must have been apprehensive. And
I didn't even. It wasn't like I was looking for it.
right, but
You
I mean, you were expecting it.
It wasn't like I was, you know what? They just sent me to school.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was going to a school not in my neighborhood. Yeah, I was a little kid, too. It's not like I'm a big guy now anyway. So, I was always small.
Yeah.
So, when you're small, you get picked on anyway.
Anyway.
Boys are just mean.
Right. Yeah. Kids
So,
are mean.
Kids are mean. But boys punch each other in the face.
Right. Yeah. Girls are psychological warfare with girls. Yeah. Dudes are pretty physical.
My daughters have beef, but no one's punched anybody in the face.
Right. Yeah. Hair pulling, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Elevated hair. That's some elevated shit. When you. I remember reading that there was a point, there was like a turning point where you were like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, one day, it was very common for, just a bunch of guys to show up with bats and beat guys, do whatever. I remember hiding behind like some bush or whatever as guys are running by with bats chasing other guys and whatever. I'm not going to school anymore. I pretty much never went to school again after that.
Really?
To tell you the truth. I stopped going to that school. I went to a school in my neighborhood, but that lasted about a year. So I kind of stopped going to school around.
The school in your neighborhood just wasn't good for you? Or was that just a moment for you where you were like, I'm just not.
I was such a weird kid at that point. I didn't know anybody because I lived in Bed-Stuy, but I was bused to school most of my schoolhood life.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know people in my own neighborhood.
Right.
So
yeah.
I was just a weird kid. So, but I guess I was smart. I remember getting on the honor roll my 1 year in high school.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
And I just quit and got a GED.
And how old were you? You were 15?
I was okay. So I was about 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
that whole kind of idea of being on the outside, I think, is also really specific to smart. I feel like the kids that struggle are. Academically, anyway, are really, really dumb kids and really, really smart kids.
Yeah.
You're frustrated. And especially if everybody around you is like not particularly sophisticated, you just look around, you're like, I'm wasting my time here.
Yeah, they say in college, I heard this before, A students become professors and C students are our biggest donors.
Interesting. I'm trying to extrapolate how that works, but yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the C students are gonna just fail upwards constantly, and they make all the money, and the professor. Yeah, I mean, they're
not always following the rules,
right? Yeah. Well, and also usually C students. One of the reasons why they're C students is because things are a layup everywhere in their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I figured out early that if you weren't really smart or really dumb, you're not going to get attention.
Right. Yeah. So you got to make some kind of noise some other
those
way.
are the only kids that get attention in school.
Right.
Everybody else is. So getting a B and getting a D are B and C. They're kind of the same. They're pretty much the same thing. You're in the same boat. You're not getting an A. You're not getting an F.
You take. What did you say? What did your parents say when you said I'm done? Or was it a slow creep? Were you just not going and telling me you were going?
No. I just I was like, I'm not going to that school anymore.
Right.
And then I just said I'm going to go take the GED. I was in I was in this boys and girls high.
Okay.
In Brooklyn, and a lot of cops and teachers
Just
shot there, like a really bad, dramatic school. So what was the difference between getting a diploma from one of the worst schools in the city?
What were you sticking around for?
Or getting a GED? What was the difference?
Right. And you took it. And then what? And then did you have a plan at that point?
I didn't really have a plan. I was working at Red Lobster. I was working with mentally handicapped adults, kind of working like in a halfway house where they stayed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just trying to get a job, not
just a job like changing diapers and like doing that thing, kind of like a home attendant. And then start telling jokes.
No, that's you don't get to yada. You don't get to yada that.
Yeah, yada
How did you
yada jokes?
How did that When did it, because I always feel like there are guys who just came up gripping their Cosby album, gripping their Pryor album. Like,
I love my Pryor albums. I love my Cosby albums. I love all that stuff. But Eddie Murphy made me want to be a stand-up. Like, oh, wow.
did you have a sense? Because I remember seeing Delirious. I remember everything about that time in my life, but I didn't get that it was a job. I just thought he was a magician.
Yeah, okay, I had two Eddie Murphy epiphanies. The first epiphany, and I know this is arrogant as fuck, I heard his first album, and I go, I can do that.
But that's every comedian's thought.
His first album, he's at the comic strip with the thing in his head. I didn't think it was that funny.
Oh, yeah. What was it? It was just called Eddie Murphy. It was just the
I was like,
album. Yeah.
I can do this. So that put the seed in my head, like, I'm better than this guy.
Right.
But then I saw Delirious, like, oh my God, this guy is like unbelievable.
He's a monster. Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't believe
Even now you look at it and you're like, what the fuck is happening right now?
It's still better than everything I've done. I'm like, damn.
And I don't even know if arrogance is the right word. I think you need such an incredible amount of hubris to ever think that you can get up in front of a room full of people and entertain them. And that hubris translates into bravery, and you need brave. You can't do it without bravery.
Pat Tillman's brave.
Yes, that's fair. Now it's made me feel shitty about myself.
Pat Tillman
you ain't saved
is
nobody.
brave. Comedians have nerve.
Right, okay, that's fair.
You got a lot of nerve.
A lot of fucking nerve. Yeah, you got all the nerve.
Yeah.
So, and then when was that? So you saw that, you heard that first album, you thought I could do that, and then did you start?
I mean, my whole life I liked comedy, and I was always looked at it. I always looked at it like a kid, like other kids would look at baseball. I was always like reading, I knew everything about Bill Cosby. I knew everything about George Carlin. And I was very interested in the process and how do you come up with these jokes? How do you come up with these lines? And like studying the structure and like, oh, that joke works because he said this line, this word 4 words ago. If you take that word out, this joke probably doesn't work. Like, it was like really into dissecting a joke, like some kid would take apart a radio or something.
Yeah. Wow.
So I kind of wanted to be a comedy writer, but I never knew
who the fuck knows a comedy. Even now, you don't know how to do that
like,
shit.
I didn't know any comedy writers, but I saw Eddie Murphy on stage. And I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Right. What was the process leading up to that first set? Do you remember? Were you writing for months? What happened?
I was literally, I'll tell you the exact date, February 11th, I believe, 1985.
Impressive.
I looked it up.
To extrapolate it from context.
Yeah, like somebody. Anyway, Eddie Murphy tickets went on sale for Radio City. And, the tickets went on sale at 9 or whatever. I get there at 11. Now, this is it's 85, before the internet. There's a line like 4 city blocks long.
Right.
Like,
Holy
it's
shit.
unbelievable how long this line is. It's ridiculous. It's like 5 people deep. It's
Yes.
It's ridiculous. I think he ended up doing like 10 shows there.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, while I was online, I'm reading the paper, and in the arts and leisure section was like a list of comedy clubs. And I just got offline and walked to Catch a Rising Star. It happened to be audition night. There was probably about 30 people waiting. And so it's 11. I probably it took me an hour or whatever to get there. I waited from 12 o'clock to about 7 to pick a number. Out of the 30 or 40 people there, only 7 of us got to go on that night. I picked lucky number 7. So that's 7 o'clock. I went home, got some friends, came back, and they said, come back around 10. Around midnight, I went on, told about 2 minutes of stuff I'd made up on the train that day.
Between the time that you went over there and the time that you went on stage.
Yeah. And passed audition.
Fucking A, Chris.
And honestly, if they didn't tell me I passed audition, I didn't even know what the process was.
Right.
If Mike Egan, who was the artistic director at the time, did not tell me, you passed audition, you should come here, you should work here all the time, I would have never done it again. I just thought it was like a cute thing I did. Oh, yeah, I got some laughs one night.
Yeah.
And let me go get a real job. But he told me, like, you're a regular. Like, he explained to me what it was. I didn't know these other people have auditioned 30 times.
Right.
I didn't know Catch a Rising Star was a big
deal. You just looked at the list and that was one that was close by.
Yeah, that was like the closest one.
This is fucking
It was like,
insane.
oh, their audition night's tonight, and the comic strip's on Tuesday. So I'm going to go tonight. And
he said, you're a regular, come back.
Yeah. And I've been,
What changed then? Like what? Okay, so now you've tried something essentially on a lark, and it's funny because I didn't come into it the whole way. I know I'm going to be a comic when I grow up, but I do remember like sweating over a notebook full of really poorly formed jokes for a few months before I went on stage.
I sweat over notebooks now.
I've seen you sweat over notebooks.
I sweat over notebooks all the time now.
But when you left, what changed about your mindset? Like, were you all of a sudden like, now I got to go write?
No, here's the weird thing. My first 12, 15 times on stage, I killed.
This is so unfair. Because it's always like you kill your first set and then you never kill again.
Like literally like 12, 15 times I killed. To the point, one night I got so confident I brought a girl.
Oh boy.
And I bombed, and I proceeded to bomb for probably the next 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. That just put my whole universe back
literally
upright.
As soon as the confidence got a little bit ahead of the talent, took me literally 4 years to figure out how to put this thing back together.
Yes. Did you get superstitious at that point? Because I remember like bringing a family member to a show and bombing so badly that I wouldn't let anybody I knew come to a show for years after that.
I didn't get superstitious, but I don't know. I never was into bringing. I always say this. I hate bringing people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't never want anybody to see anything I'm doing.
Like ever. Like when if I'm on in concert.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise. Yeah, I never bring people. I always say that's the problem with young comedians. So they're all posseed up, and no one lives in their head. You gotta live in your head.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you have to be an observer. Right? Well, the thing about talking about being an outsider is that you have to be watching. You can't always be doing.
Yeah,
nothing goes in.
I like having a half-hour, 40-minute drive to the club by myself, listening, just stewing in my head. Now I get to talk.
Right.
I'm unleashed.
Right.
But
I can't have that. I can't do anything before the show because again, if things need to be, they need to gel, they need to settle.
Yeah, I don't like to do anything when I'm doing a show.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk to the waitress. I'm like, we can talk about chicken wings after this is all over.
Yeah.
So then 4 years of bombing.
Yeah, about 4 years of bombing.
And you had to go back and learn. You have to. I mean, you have to relearn.
Well, I had to learn how to be a comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really. I was essentially just a funny guy at a party.
Right.
Before then.
Right.
You know.
Did you get? I feel like you're super. You approach process. I sound like an asshole, but I feel like you have a process. I feel like you have a very specific comedy process.
I mean, everybody's got a process.
Yeah. I don't know. Some guys just fuck around. Some guys still just fuck around.
Yeah, but they're not rewarded for it.
Right. Well, good. Well, they shouldn't be.
Like who's got a career that just fucks around?
Yeah.
Not really.
There's got to be one guy. There's got to be that one. I'm not one of those people who's like, but there's got to be one dude that's just fucking around.
I mean, even the ones that you think are fucking around that. There's a method to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Method to that.
Yeah, a guy like Wayne Brady.
Yeah. Wayne is the most disciplined motherfucker.
You know what I mean? Like, it's improv. Yeah.
That dude is he's like a machine.
Yeah, he's like, you know what I mean? It looks like.
Yeah. Well, and again, he's always putting things in. Wayne is so much fun to be around that you think he's just like. Right, but when he's not working, he's just like drilling, learning.
Looks like it's easy, but no, it ain't.
Yeah, he's just sucking it in so he can put it back out. So, and you started so young. So it took you 4 years to kind of figure out. Did you have a part of your life early on? Because I always say this to young comedians that. In the beginning, every joke is precious too, because every laugh is precious. And then you get to a point where you realize, even though this joke gets laughs, this is not my joke. And I don't mean this is somebody else's joke. I mean, this is not a joke.
Oh, yeah. Early on, I didn't. You know, that happens. You think they're all your children.
Yeah, yes.
And then you get older and you realize, oh, no, some of these are my stepchildren. Some of these are my foster children.
Or if someone else adopted this baby, they could love it.
Yeah,
it's not my baby.
This is a nephew. This is not my child.
This child wandered over from next door.
Yeah. They're not all my children.
Go ahead.
And some of us, we all got favorite kids.
Right. So. Do you remember that? Not necessarily the day, but do you remember how that felt when you finally things started working for you again?
I mean, I can't pinpoint it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You just get more relaxed. I don't know. Just one day I started getting laughs again.
Was there ever a point where you thought maybe you didn't want to do stand-up?
There were points where, like after my dad died, like he drove a truck for the New York Daily News. And when you're in these unions, you know, and you die, you're actually allowed to pass the union card on to like your son or daughter or whatever.
Wow.
So there was a point where I was like, maybe I should drive. Maybe I should take the card and drive the truck.
Interesting.
Yeah, but my brother ended up doing it. But it was definitely pondered. Like,
What's
this is
stability?
This is a decent job with benefits. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more kind of there's not a less affectionate lover than comedy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, yes, just.
Yeah.
You just love the shit out of it. It feels so totally ambivalent about you.
Yeah. It's so.
But that was a brief.
That was brief. My mother said no.
Really?
Yeah, my mother said no. No, you're gonna tell your jokes.
This is a terrible question, but I want to ask it. I want to because I feel like your career's been really varied, but I don't think anybody would ever say that you weren't. Like, I think there are other guys that do a lot of things. They act and they write and they do stand up, and people see that. But I think you're just first and foremost a stand up. But
I'm a stand up. I do a lot of stuff. I try a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you try a lot of stuff.
Some works, some of it, whatever.
Comedians we're driven by aggression anyway. I think if you have the nerve to get on stage, you pretty much have the nerve to do anything. But what was the first thing? The first thing that was it the HBO half hour? What was the first thing that that you did that was like your break? Or how do you see it?
I mean, hey, the first time people paid attention to me was the movie I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker.
Okay, was that pre-special?
It's way pre-special. Give me one rib.
The one rib. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, everybody runs with this. Pour the soda in my hand. Was that pre?
That was way pre-special. That's almost 10 years before, 15 years before that.
How did that happen? Did you know those guys?
Keenan. Here's the funny thing. I think Keenan stole my bit. I don't know how it went down. I don't know if Keenan came up with. First of all, it was a bit from my act,
right?
So I don't know if it was in the movie, and then they decided, hey, maybe we should let the guy
the most smartest way to go.
Let's cast the guy in his own bit, or Keenan just liked me and just wrote a part for me. I don't know. I don't know how it went down. But it did seem odd that they flew me in from New York to do one
bit, yeah,
one bit in a movie in L.A.
But that's a bit that everybody. It's it's a picture stealing bit.
It's whenever somebody this part's too small, I go give me one rib.
Yeah, seriously, and exactly.
Like, hey, I was a rib guy. You can make something out of any part.
Anything, exactly.
So that was enough to get me in a club and get me laid by an okay chick.
There you go. Everybody has to start somewhere.
Like that would.
You're the one rib guy.
You're the one rib guy.
I don't know if you see me, ladies, but I am the one rib guy.
It's one rib guy. Yeah.
Maybe New Jack City didn't help though.
New Jack City was a year or two later.
Yeah,
a couple of years later.
I'm the suck your dick guy.
Yeah,
it's not gonna help. It's a different kind of.
Still, Pookie was Wow.
Yes, I mean that's what I mean. I feel like, especially in that time, you would show up and you would be like the most memorable moment in a film.
I was lucky back then.
Not anymore.
I was lucky. Didn't have the burden of carrying a movie.
Right.
Come in and score and leave.
It's always the best, right? It's like being a feature.
Oh, it's
right. It's not your show. Everybody's warm. Get the fuck out. Be at the bar for the rest of the night, right? While the other guy's up there sweating. When I was on the road, when I did my first real long road tour, and I was in a van with two dudes for months. It was fucking misery. We were listening to your album, and you did an album before you did your special. Oh yeah, we listened to your album over and over again.
God.
Oh, it was great. It was great. I mean, I don't know, like the shit you do when you're a kid, when you're a baby comic, like everything is so seminal to you, like everything stands out. You know what I mean? You get older and then you forget shit, but when you're young, and you were young, you're like, oh, this guy's like our age and he's fucking killing it. Do you feel that way when you look back at your old work? Do you do that?
Some of it, it's almost like another person said it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's mean.
Do you feel that way about your old shit?
Horrible. What the fuck was I going through?
But there's something about this particular, and the way that you work, and not everybody works this way, because there are guys that have been doing it, they have an act. I'll say it, she does, because she would say it, Cheryl Underwood has an act.
Cheryl Underwood's so funny.
She's so fucking funny. She's so funny. Jerry has an act, right? He believes in the concept of an act. But I think you are more like somebody maybe like Louis, where it's like, this is who I am right now. This is the hour right now. And then I'm going to commit it, and then put it down. And that, I think, because you work that way, it's inevitable you're going to look back and be like, who the fuck was that guy?
I believe in this, it's nothing like people hearing new jokes. It's just.
I also don't think, I can't get excited. I can't get excited, and I can't get it up. If I can't get it up, then I can't get them up.
Hey man, my idol's Prince. Prince, would come out with a new record every year and a half, and it'd be kind of different than the other one.
Right.
And I couldn't wait to hear him do the new record.
Right.
And that didn't mean I didn't like the old record, but that's how I look at it. But me and Jerry have this talk all the time, and
Right. About what? About like having a body of work versus like evolving as an artist?
Well, it's not involving as art. Some guys just believe in it, in having, Jerry has new jokes all the time.
Yeah.
But the act is more or less the same
Right.
the last, 5-7 years.
It's a philosophical approach.
It's fear, though. That's all it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say that, but she seems so confident about it. Whereas,
Well, it's what's more confident than something you've done 1,000 times? Of course she's going to be confident about it.
when you start a new hour, because I've seen you work out before. When you start, like when you put, because I love that feeling when you put an hour down and you're like starting over from scratch. But I sweat. I literally.
Oh, it's the
sweat.
hardest thing in the world.
It's terrifying.
It's the hardest. I will never do a special that's longer than an hour again.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, it's so hard to start from scratch. I like, starting with 15 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, I can take
Yeah.
15 and make it an hour in, a matter of months.
Yeah.
But when you got nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, my God. Terrifying.
It's terrifying. I mean, with the last one, I did 90 and I cut it to 70. So I had those 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever doesn't work.
And that 20 minutes will really help you.
Yeah. You put 10 at the top, 10 at the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah. At least you have somewhere to go.
Yeah, you got a starting point.
But it's funny because I think anybody listening who knows, who's a fan would be like, never think that you would ever. You're such a different person when you're working out than you are when you're in concert, which I find very striking. I feel like you're really thoughtful and methodical when you're working out, and then you turn into like big stage Chris. There's like small stage Chris. And big stage Chris.
I used to watch Kinnison work out a lot, and not scream.
Right,
and
right.
it was like amazing. To me, it was actually my favorite Sam.
The like quiet Sam.
Watching Sam not scream and really just like make sure these jokes were funny.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is something about like I can't be a salesman right now. I just got to make sure the shit on the bottom works, and then put
you put your Barnum and Bailey on it.
Right. When you Barnum and Bailey, when you were, we're gonna jump all around just because I have so many things I want to ask you about. But
Watergate.
What were your feelings about Deep Throat? About discovering his identity most recently. Tell him I said what's up. When you after I'm Gonna Get You Sucker and New Jack, you did an album, and then I'm just so curious about the chronology between that, your first special, and SNL.
Let's see.
How all that.
Okay, it's like I have two careers. I had like early 90s, or late 80s, early 90s. I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, New Jack, SNL, CB4, comedy album, Born Suspect.
Yeah.
All that happened kind of around
pretty
the
tight,
same,
right? Pretty close.
kind of around the same time, and everything kind of worked on some level, but nothing was what you would call great. And I don't know. Back then, I realized too there was there's no UPN, there's no WB, rappers aren't that famous, basketball players aren't. There was really kind of a no black show business. There was like Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Bill Cosby, and so if you didn't measure up to those guys, you were kind of a failure.
Yeah. Well, but there was stratosphere or ground. There was nothing in between.
There was nothing in between.
Yeah.
So I'm off SNL. After I'm off SNL and off The Living Color, I don't know, I probably went about 4 years without working.
At all?
I mean,
stand up,
yeah. Getting better as a stand-up.
Yeah.
And I kind of quit show business.
That was what I remember hearing you say at one point.
I kind of quit show business. And when I say quit show business, I just I'm not auditioning for nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not writing in another movie. I'm going to try to be a good comic. I just want to be good enough that I sell out the club without doing radio. That was my goal. Can I get to the market and the club is sold out without me having to wake up in the morning? This was my goal was to be George Wallace, to be, Don Maera, just a guy you can count on. Bobby Slayton, like that was my goal. I want to be, and it's still my goal in a lot of ways, like to be a comedian you can count on.
Right.
Bobby Collins,
Right,
guys that just like
reliable, yes,
kill every time you see him.
You're gonna have a good time. You bring your lady friend out. You have a couple of drinks.
Carol under Bruce. You know what I mean? Just like people that never let you down.
So that was what you did for those 3 years, just that focus.
Yeah, it was like this focus on being a better comedian. And through that, what happened was, I guess they were doing, what was it, Live Aid? What was it? Not Live Aid. Comic Relief.
Comic Relief, yes.
Yeah, I did Comic Relief. And after not being on TV or whatever for 4 years, I guess I was like the only black guy on it. It's one of those things. We don't have any black comics. Called me like the day before.
Also, it looked like, wait a minute, what? Didn't anybody get a black guy?
Yeah. And I think Whoopi might have got me on. But it went well.
Yeah.
And out of that, I got a half-hour special.
Yeah, I remember the half hour.
And after the half-hour special, hey, let's give them. I got another half-hour special. But when they came to see me, my stuff for when Carolyn Strauss came to see my half-hour special stuff, she said, "You're doing an hour."
Oh, that's so great.
I was like, "Huh? What?
That's
an hour?
So great.
You're doing an hour? I can't do an hour. You're doing an hour."
And then
I did Bring the Pain.
When you went away after that conversation, did you say like, "Holy fuck, I got to write another half hour"? Or you had the hour? She saw the hour.
She saw it. I was just didn't think I could write. I got to do an hour, and then I got to have material to go on a road. All that stuff. Plus, I didn't know if it would be interesting in an hour. It's like, oh yeah, I'm real funny in a half hour.
Well, and also if there's any part of your act you feel is soft, you think, well, we'll cut down the best shit will end up on TV. Right.
And yeah, that special kind of changed my life.
Jumping back before we jump forward to Bring the Pain, I've had a lot of friends that have been on SNL, Parnell and Jay Moore, and everybody's had really varying experiences there.
Right.
And I've had everybody say everything from, well, I remember to acting, why did I say axing? I've never used that word before in my life. Asking Chris Parnell about his experience there, and he said it was really wobbly when he first got there. Like, he didn't know how to get sketches on, he didn't know who to talk to, and he went up to Will Ferrell, who had been there a couple of years, and he said, Will, was it hard for you in the beginning to figure shit out? And Will was like, no. So then Chris was like, well, it's me. It's just fucking me. But I wonder about how that was, because that was
It's Will Ferrell.
And Will is
He's as funny as they come.
Right, and also just a dude who, has never scared. You know what I mean? Never. When you were there, what was that like for you? I feel like I've heard, but it
was fun. I you gotta understand, I got bused to school, and, first of all,
nothing's been as hard as that since then.
You gotta understand. I'm sure everybody you know that had a bad time at SNL never had a real job. I'm gonna guess.
Yes. Well, yeah, probably.
A real fucking job.
Yeah.
Where you really have to bite your tongue and have a boss and have to do shit you don't want to do.
Right. Show up
like a real job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I loved SNL because it was a job. And it's always, any job I have in show business is going to be compared to the real jobs I had.
Right.
They're all, the worst job in show business. The worst.
Yeah, it's better than the best job in the private sector.
Yes,
absolutely.
It really is. So I had a ball. To me, it was the X-Men school,
Right.
And I got Sandler and Chris Farley and Spade and Mike Myers and Dennis Miller
class that
and
time.
Phil Hartman and Dana Carvey and Jan Hooks and Victoria. it was Quentin Nealon, and it was ridiculous. So I didn't think I was better than anybody on the show. Maybe Schneider. I think I was better than Schneider. I'll go on record. I think I was better than Schneider. Breaking news. So yeah, it was hard to get stuff on, but it should have been hard to. It's hard to get playing time on the Yankees too.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Did it change? Because sketch is so different from stand-up. This question is half formed in my head, which is why it's not coming out properly. But I guess I was just going to say something. Did it change the way you work?
Well, it taught me how. It prepared me. It's college essentially. That's SNL. If you think of SNL as I'm going to make it, you're just nuts. SNL, even in success, is a stepping stone in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? I remember me and Spade. Somebody said, "This is it. We did it." And me and Spade look at each other and go, "If this is it, we're going to have really shitty lives." It's like, what do you mean it's it? We're 25.
Right, yeah, seriously. This can't possibly be it.
We're going to be here 6 years? I mean, how long do people let's just do the math.
Yeah, the longest run on the show has been maybe a decade.
Yeah,
right?
you know what I mean? So, let's have some fun. Let's learn some shit.
A shot to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do bring the pain. This is also not a good question, but I'm just curious. Because I don't think any comedian...
Was that Kamau Bell?
That was Kamau. Kamau came in to look for, either to act like he was looking for something so he could see what was happening, or to legitimately look for something. Okay. I hope it wasn't his child, because that would be bad.
Kamau Bell.
He was looking under the table.
It's all happening.
It is all happening for Kamau Bell, who was a charming and lovely,
charming guy,
smart,
funny guy, smart,
adorable.
What do you want?
Funny glasses.
Yeah.
Ironic hair.
Yeah.
When you did bring the pain, when you finished it, let's just say on the night.
Right.
Did you know?
I mean, what do you mean no?
I don't know what it was going to do for you?
No, I just thought, honestly, hopefully this will make me be able to sell out a club and not have to do radio.
Which, by the way, I still have to do radio.
I'm just saying. I mean, like, hey, man, I was just trying to.
I don't want to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
But I was just trying to become Don Mayer. I'm still trying to become. I'm still George Wallace. George Wallace is like my idol. Like George Wallace sells out everywhere.
Everywhere.
George Wallace.
Kills
every
Vegas,
night.
Right? Destroys.
Whenever a comedian, like a friend, will go, "Oh man, I had a bad set last night." I go, "Dude, only George Wallace kills every night." Is your name George Wallace? Because if your name's not George Wallace, you shouldn't be complaining.
Lower your expectations.
Yeah, only George Wallace kills every night.
What? So, but you said it did, and you said it, and I think everybody knew it because that was something that put you on the map, in a spectacular way. What was the thing, or what was the moment after that where you were like, okay, shit's about to change, or shit is changing? I don't know that as an artist, when you're midstream, you ever really see it.
I mean, I remember doing Caroline's in the city, and I remember all the cool kids came. I remember selling out. It's weird. Even before the special, people started getting it.
Right.
And I remember, I'm selling more seats. Right. There's a lot of people coming. And I remember, fights at shows. People couldn't get in.
Wow.
And I remember one night I'm playing Caroline's. Louis was there. Janine, Cross, Kirk. I was like, oh, all the cool kids are here.
Right, all the alt kids came to see your shit.
Yeah, it was like this 90 whatever, 96, 95. It was like, I don't even know if there was an alt yet.
That was right. Yeah, because I started in 94, and that was right when, when the alt scene was kind of
oh, the cool kids are here.
Right.
So between that and the crowd, I was like, oh, something's going on.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on, but
right.
This is growing.
Right.
Yeah, and so I had a sense of that, but I'm telling you, the goal was to sell out the club.
One great thing about a show like Bring the Pain, and I also feel like the specials that you've done since then is they somehow feel the way that, say, Live on the Sunset Strip felt, or the way that Delirious felt, which was which is bigger than a comedy special, something bigger and more transcendent than just an hour worth of material.
Whenever somebody's working out for a special, I always go, it's called special.
Yeah, it can't just be a random collection of 60 minutes of shit.
Yeah, it's not HBO regular. It's a fucking special.
Yeah,
make it special.
Have you? What's the right word?
Oh, here's a funny thing. A month, 3 weeks before I did the special. I bump into Andrew Dice Clay at a mall in Atlanta, buying underwear. Comedians buying underwear.
That's like Saturday afternoon at 2
Yeah,
o'clock.
like,
Yeah.
and I go, he goes, what are you doing? I'm getting ready to do this special. You know, and Dice goes, what do you mean? Why you say it like that?
Right.
It's a fucking special.
Yeah. It's a big fucking deal.
It's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
You know what this shit can do
and
for
also
your
when
fucking
you did
life?
it was a big fucking deal. No, it's not like Comedy Central was out there giving everybody an hour every weekend.
And Dice told me to go home and watch Rocky.
Really?
He said, if you watch Rocky, you'll remember why you got into show business.
Wow.
It'll all come back to you. And I watched Rocky, and it all did come back. Like, it all did like that. Like, it did hype me up. And it did, from that moment on, I did take like another, like, oh shit, I gotta really...
Can I tell you a really creepy story now?
What, you fucked Dice?
Oh God, that would be truly creepy.
laid out
And
with Dice.
now I've got to lie down on the ground and turn the lights out for a couple minutes while I. No, I think I remember you telling that story on something that I heard, and I can't remember what it was. But before my special, I bought the Rocky theme, and it was the last thing I listened to before I walked out on stage.
It's a fucking,
Yeah.
it's like, hey man, Rocky,
Well, I mean, but I think there's something about.
Wanda did the same thing. Wanda
Did she really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I told her, she's like, yeah, I watch Rocky. You gotta watch Rocky before you do any big thing in life. You should watch Rocky.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a transformational moment for you, and it's also something that's completely self-made. Which is not to say that as comedians we don't need other people.
We need other people.
We do, but we need our cutman and our cornerman. But it is one of the few things that is very much a solo project.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're your own coach, if you don't put the work in, it doesn't get done.
It doesn't
get done.
It doesn't get work done. But I mean, also, you got to be real. It's weird. You got to have funny friends.
Yes. No. You need other comics who are invested in your success and want you to win.
Yeah, invest in your success, but also they got to be good.
Right.
Like, I've met people that just weren't funny enough to be friends with anymore.
I'm sorry, you've been cut.
Yeah, like, dude.
Oh God, you got to write. We'll come back to it when you got some new material.
Yeah, hey, my mother always said association brings assimilation.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Like,
God, I wonder if I've cut people out because they weren't funny.
There's like, you got to work on it.
Yeah.
You got to want it.
Yeah. I definitely gravitate towards funny people, but people aren't funny fall away anyway. Because if your life is about comedy and you're around comedy all the time, people aren't funny don't work, and then they're self eliminating. Really, they just they end up moving on and getting other jobs.
Yeah,
we're gonna leap ahead because people know your CV. I feel like you are you're on two parallel tracks. There's you release a special it's maybe like 4 or 5 years, and it's always this huge event. The last one was massive. I mean, it was really like a massive fucking undertaking.
I'll never do anything like that.
Really?
Again. I mean, that was crazy, but yeah.
Tell me why you won't.
It was. I don't know. I mean, it was 3 countries.
It was bananas. It was fucking bananas, Chris.
It was fucking bananas. It was Rick Rubin's idea, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like a rock concert. It felt like a rock event.
It was. I mean,
which was. I also feel like there's got to be some burden to being Chris Rock, where you've got to do something huge every time out.
Burden, but I mean, I was sick and tired of people telling me black people don't translate overseas. It's hard to do
because there aren't any black people over there.
So
apparently,
I made it a point to go to all these other countries and not only play them but set the record.
Right. Like,
I'm gonna have the attendance record in like every English speaking country
Yeah.
So it was kind of making a point on that, and just now everybody goes out of the country now.
Right. Yeah.
When I first went to London, we put 500 seats on sale. Like I was playing a club.
Yeah.
And ended up playing about 90,000 seats when all was done, all said and done.
That's crazy.
And
people were telling you it's not going to work up until that point.
Please. I got rid of my representation because they were just trying to get me to play the same places over and over.
Right.
I was like, no, we got to get the hell out the country.
Yeah.
You got to really do this.
You got to expand.
Even if it's small.
Right.
And I got to build it from nothing.
Right, exactly.
It's better for me to go to Australia and start building something than to go back to Seattle.
Right, and play the same place the same time every year.
Yeah, because that's going to burn out.
Yeah. For you, for the audiences there, but for you too as an artist.
As an artist too, you got to you need some new juices,
Right,
flowing.
and put yourself in
Going
situations.
to Africa was like the best thing ever. Like,
And had you played there before you did the special?
I never played those places before. I mean, I would get into town 3 days early.
Yeah.
I would, before I even got to town, I would watch whatever. So if I'm going to Africa, I would watch African comics on YouTube, Australia or Ireland or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
Just to
I would
see what
see
people
what was
were
going on,
responding
and
to.
I would
Yeah.
hang out, and I would read the paper, and I would go on at a club for about 2-3 days, and it would work out the kinks, and then let's do it.
And then you just did it.
Yeah.
Was there any aspect of that for you that was like scary or anxiety
It was
producing?
all scary, but it was all exciting at the same time. It
Yeah.
was all like, this is what I dreamed it could be.
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean? I always say, what would Richard do if he was sober?
He'd be the most productive motherfucker.
You know
in
what I
the
mean? Like,
world.
he's like
Yeah.
the greatest comedian of our time. You know, best writer, best everything. I mean, Cosby played a lot of places, but I mean, Richard Pryor, man. You know, I mean, my last special is like, so Richard Pryor talks about being in Africa and live on the Sunset Strip.
Yeah.
You know, if he wasn't sick and whatnot, you would think he would have played Africa.
Right. Right.
It
yeah.
seems like, I mean,
That was where he was headed.
Yeah, it seemed like he was headed there, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
It seemed natural. Richard Pryor should have played Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're on these two paths. You're on these two parallel paths, and one is this kind of, and I guess that was like the most logical expression of like the career path you were on as a comic, which is like every show had to be bigger and more explosive than the one previous because everyone has been so successful, not just creatively. Well,
But I wanted to be I mean, yes, it was a big special, you know, playing these big arenas
in
and all
scope
that.
and in concept too. Really
but the
in concept
of playing different countries was just would appeal to me. Not like, oh my God, he's more famous or whatever.
Right.
But
and the challenge again of getting up in front of an audience that maybe
And
isn't
just-
going to get your pop
and just
references.
showing that we're all people.
Right. Right.
Like the world, you know, we're just all people. We all laugh at the same shit.
Yeah, we all feel the
You
same
know?
shit. Yeah.
You know, I remember playing Puerto Rico. That was one of the best shows of the whole tour.
Really?
Yeah.
How many cities did you play that didn't end up in the special?
I mean, please.
You were just
I was all over the world. I
wow.
mean, yeah.
And then those last three shows like the last 3 shows you did?
Yes, those are
Okay.
like I did them like within 2 weeks of each other. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
So you toured everywhere.
I toured
Puerto
everywhere.
Rico was the best one. What was the
I mean, it
worst
was
one?
great. They were all great. They're
Yeah.
all great.
Was there one place
They're
where
all
people
home
didn't
runs.
get really every single one?
Everyone, some were tape measured shots, and some barely made it over the wall. Some just freaked out. Some I got a home run because there was a throwing error, and they got credited as a home run. But
they were all good.
they were all pretty good.
So, and then you have this other part of your life, this other creative part of your life, not just where you're you're producing shows like Totally Biased, but also writing and directing. And I guess the question I have is, how has it been for you on that side as an artist? Has that been easier, more challenging?
Oh, it's much more challenging. That's why I do it.
Right.
Because it's way more challenging. It's like, wow, this is like, okay. Because I have so much to learn as a writer and a director and an actor, and there's just more room to grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, my goal ultimately is that, one day it pops.
Right.
The same
right.
way the stand-up, just like, you thought I was this guy.
Right.
And then, oh my God,
Yeah.
look at that movie, look at that thing. But I think all comedians you got to do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
If you just do stand-up, you're just gonna, you have to do other things. You have to have other experiences, and all these experiences will help you stand up. Sure, I did a play 2 years ago.
Yeah, right, motherfucker with a hat. Well, you got nominated. You got nominated for, was it a drama desk? You got nominated for something. Which, by the way, I know that there are so many people who have like dismissed your acting, and that must have been really satisfying.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I mean, it must have been satisfying. Broadway is the hardest thing to do.
It is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing I ever did. But please, today I just agreed to do a play spring 2015. Like, I literally planned that far ahead.
Yeah, it's what you have to.
You have to. So
Now, with all the stuff you're doing, how much stand-up do you do?
I haven't done stand-up in about 4 years, but I do a movie this summer. I start a movie in about 4 weeks. I'll be done cutting that, Halloween, Thanksgiving. And I'll tour early next year.
What will you do? God, 4 years off is a long time.
But I go, I mess
You
around.
sneak out?
I sneak out. get on stage.
I stopped, like, I just took like 3 months off, and I was like, oh, what if I forget it? Which of course you can't forget it, but you always have that kind of like that first setback.
I mean, I'm doing comedy.
Yeah.
It's like right now you're doing comedy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm
You're doing
still-
the podcast, so you got your book. Long as you're trying to be funny,
Right.
you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's when you go away and just do dramatic
away
stuff.
from it completely,
when you step away from wanting to be funny,
Right.
that's when you have a problem.
It's but I mean, I also feel like also they're the same muscles. You're right. It's the same. It's all
It's the same muscle.
muscles.
I like taking a break. I got my kids are young. They're only going to be young once.
Right. You spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah, I spend a ton of time with them.
That's killer.
So, yeah, they're only going to be young once.
Yeah.
They're only going to want to hang out with me until, whatever.
Until they're like 15, and then,
Right.
Yeah.
So-
My dad raised me. It's like there's going to be a real rough patch from like 15 to 22.
Yeah, I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
It's good that you see it.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I accept it. But, so, yeah, I mean, when that happens, maybe I'll work all the time. Maybe I'll take that deal at Caesars and just, Chris Rock's here with,
Just dancing out there.
Bette Midler, Chris Rock, Rod Stewart, whatever. Just have a contract and, do that thing.
Before we do self-inflicted wounds, I guess I talk a lot about like this kind of idea of like work aggression, like people are workers, and I feel like you do so much stuff, and this is not it's such an esoteric question. I don't really know how to articulate it, but it's something about like people who are just so driven to do, like it's almost compulsive. Do you find that like there's an aspect to your personality that's like I'm like work compelled?
I'm not work compelled, but I do not take my career for granted. Mm-hmm. I realize it can be over at any moment, and it'll be. Steve Martin always says you'll be out of show business 2 years before anybody tells you. You won't even know it for 2 years.
Right.
Like, how long have I been out of show business? 2 years.
I didn't wait.
Yeah, no one tells you. No one told Jimmy Walker you're never going to star on a show again.
Right. Yeah.
Like no one told him that.
No.
It just happened.
And the expectation was probably there that it was going to happen again for a
He
while.
was only the biggest star in the country
Right.
for a while.
Yeah, seriously.
You know what I mean? Like, and how many times do we see that?
Right.
With a lot of people that are hot.
Oh God, so fucking hot. And I tell people this all the time. There are people who are like the biggest movie star in the world, and now you cannot find this person.
Yes.
I just actually told some kids, I was like, remember those two awful people from the hills, Spencer and Heidi? They're living on his dad's couch.
Yeah.
And they are broke.
Yeah, but
You have to make stuff because you can't let anybody else. Other people can't take your shit.
Yeah.
If you have to wait to have shit given to you.
No, I'm always doing something. Got
Yeah.
a movie going right now. Got this show going on right now. Tour will happen. Maybe with Chappelle, maybe not. Who knows?
Oh wow, that would be huge.
We've been talking.
That would be great. I can't even think. That's like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin touring together.
So did you see the Watch the Throne tour?
I didn't see it. I loved the album, but I
It was
didn't get to get out.
It was unbelievable.
Was it incredible? Yeah, that.
It was incredible.
I saw Eminem and Jay perform together, and that was
pretty good.
Fucking massive. Yeah.
Watch the Throne.
Really?
Was unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jay's incredible. Jay's.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not,
Come on.
yeah. We
Yeah,
can put that. We can put that shit to sleep.
Shit.
So last thing, it's about regret, and I don't really know how to articulate this either, but it's something about. There's a thing at the end of the show where I apologize for stuff I've said inside the show, like not in an earnest fashion, but essentially like to be a comedian, you have to just never, ever consider what you're going to say before you say it. And you can't really look back and feel bad about it afterwards. I mean, you have to kind of break that part of your personality. But I've heard you say things about looking back, like I wish I hadn't done that, or I probably should have done this differently. Do you ever carry any of that around?
No, I don't carry it around.
No, not like a burden, but just you're like, should have made fun of Jude Law.
So, yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
No, I just wouldn't single out a person at the Oscars.
Right. You probably picked out a dude who was so pretty and doing so well. Well, how could he possibly be fucking offended?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
The joke was he works all the time.
Yeah.
That was the joke. I wish somebody told the joke, Chris Rock works in so many movies.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
But, people are sensitive and you single people out.
Yeah. Well, I also think that earnest personalities, like they just stay earnest. You know what I mean? And it's hard if you're not an earnest person. It's hard as a comedian to understand
let's face it, I'm probably not going to host the Oscars.
But you never know, because I feel like your career has become so multifaceted, and some of the stuff, like, I mean, something like Good Hair, which, you know, kind of was just spawned by this moment in your life. And I think a lot of people look to it as like a very serious piece of documentary filmmaking. And I feel like the stuff you're doing, you may not see
But
it.
it's still comedy.
It is still comedy. It's
Yeah,
still funny.
that movie in a theater would kill every, like, you couldn't
It
believe
destroys.
the laughs
But
that
the
thing got.
fundamentals under it, like the fundamentals under any good comedy, they're big ideas there.
Yes.
And that's the thing I think people don't understand about comedy, is that great comedy always has big ideas as its fundamental base.
Yes.
And I think that, so this was, and that's the only word I wrote down on this piece of paper, was about whether you feel like the older you get, the more your style evolves. Like, do you feel like you're becoming comedically mature?
Comedically mature.
I know.
Wow.
I feel like what you were saying, there's stuff you look back on and you're like, I can't believe I was that guy. You know what I mean? And I
wouldn't say comedically mature. You just grow. You just become an adult.
Yeah.
You just I don't mature. It just sounds like,
yeah, but I need a better word.
It sounds watered down.
I know. No, and it's not what I mean. I just feel like, you know, I feel like Good Hair was, as much as funny as it was, like a really smart meditation on like how we see ourselves. And it was aggressive. It wasn't fucking PBS. It was aggressive. It needed to be aggressive because it was you. The only way to talk about it was to be aggressive. If we started, you know what I mean? The aggression was what made it funny, but the aggression was what made it meaningful. And I don't know. I feel like you could host the Oscars again, because I feel like you've been successful on Broadway. The shit you're doing, the longer you work, the more complex your body of work becomes, and people see shit differently because you see shit differently. That I answered my own question.
You answered your own question.
Oh, I was so disappointed in myself. Yeah, I mean, it's not that you decided to be more comedically mature. I'm just wondering if the way you look at the world and the way you look at material now is different than it used to be.
I'm getting old. I have less patience as old people. I feel no patience. But I also don't feel the need to get people.
Right.
Like, I don't have to say mean things. All I have to do is point out the stupidity that the person has done, and their own actions will incriminate them. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, yeah, I don't have to call people dumb because they're against gay marriage. I just have to state the facts, and the facts will just,
yeah, and then let them simmer.
Yeah, the facts will just kill the people. You know what I mean? Or gun control, anything. I don't have to. I don't have to, like, you're an asshole or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you have a self-inflicted wound story?
Do I have a self-inflicted wound story? I don't know. I got nothing. What do I got? Oh my God. I remember sleeping with a girl and getting VD.
And is that the story?
No. The story was, she's so fucking, is a kind of a famous girl too.
Oh boy. And
she was so gorgeous I slept with her again and got VD again. The fuck was that?
You didn't learn anything.
It's like, it wasn't really her.
Let me just see how it goes.
I was fucking a lot of girls back then anyway, so there's a chance it could have been someone else. Oh shit, it really was her.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah. I can think of it like
she's famous too.
And she's famous. Ooh. And did you tell her?
I don't think I did.
Oh, that would have been a good public service announcement.
I think I told her without telling her.
Yeah. You were like,
just in case it wasn't her.
Right,
but
yeah.
I knew it was her.
Well, because you went back for a second experiment.
Like, I'm mad. You're like, I'm mad, and you know why I'm mad.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Without me saying nothing.
You know.
I know.
That's a really good one. I mean, I would. I mean, that could be the one. You
can have it. Yeah.
Okay. So the last thing I want to ask you about is when you did Talking Funny with Jerry and Louis and
Ricky
and Gervais or Gervais, however, I don't know how people do it. There was the funniest moment in there when I was watching it where Ricky Gervais was a baby comic, like was having like a squeaky baby comic moment. And I wondered if that was how you felt about him when you were having the conversation. It was about him insisting that certain things weren't funny. Do you remember that part of the conversation?
I mean, there was definitely a part of the conversation where, me and Jerry and Louis had, we have, a lot more experience.
Accumulated between like 70 years of stand-up experience between the three of you.
Yeah.
And Ricky has like 7.
Yeah.
And he just had and I just wondered, because to me, I was like, the next day, one of my friends was like, did you see Ricky? I was like, being a baby comic. I was like, it was such a fucking baby comic right there. And he was like, no, that's not funny. And it was something about farts. It was something really stupid. It was just interesting to me, like in that conversation, if you reacted in that way, and when you look back at who you were when you were a baby comic, if your sense of what's funny and what's not funny has changed.
You're young. You're like a born again comic.
Right. Are you more rigorous or less rigorous about what you think is meaningful?
Way less rigorous now. Mm-hmm. Way more accepting of everybody.
Yeah.
No beef with everybody. See the good in every comedian. Used to hate everybody.
Right.
Now I'm just, Carrot Top's great.
He is hardworking.
He is hardworking. He's the greatest prop comic to ever live.
I think that's fair.
Is that fair? That's a fair assessment of Carrot Top.
I think that's fair. Gallagher would probably take umbrage. But
but they can fight it. It's arguable.
Yeah.
One of them is the greatest prop comic to ever live. And
I would give it to Carrot Top.
Quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, Carrot Top is always writing. Gallagher doesn't write. Carrot Top's always got a new can stuck to a toilet.
Every time I play Vegas, Carrot Top is there.
Yeah, new shit. He's always got new bits too.
I see him backstage. I give him a hug. What's up, Top?
That's adorable. That's sweet.
Take a picture. He has stools, like bar stools. I guess he sells at his show, and I have like Carrot Top bar stools in my house.
That's adorable. Adorable. So there you go.
Yeah, I used to be quite a snob comedically.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, we're all brothers. We are all brothers and sisters, and I love every comedian on some level.
That is new. That's new. That's new for
you.
On
some level, we are all...
You gave a lecture in the hallway to some young guy here about how he was going to see when he got older that...
when you get older, all your friends are going to be comedians.
Yeah.
Like, everyone.
Yeah.
A neighbor you talk to, or, somebody who's friends with your kids. Your kids' friends' parents might be cool, but...
Yeah. It's like being in the military. Yeah. It's like... You have an immediate shorthand with these people, and they're the only people that really understand what you've been through.
You know what I mean? It's like, De Niro and Pesci ate together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, who are we going to talk to?
Yeah. Yeah. Who's going to understand?
Nobody. Yeah. But comedians.
Yeah. So you're starting a new movie, and you're working very hard, and I really am very grateful that you cleared this time to sit down with me.
Hey, come on.
It was super fun. And I always do links. I always but you don't have anything to promote. You're fucking Chris Rock.
I'm me. I mean, I got whatever. I mean,
I'll put a link to your website.
Come to my website.
Kamal's show is going to 4 days. That's big. You're going to be launching a new network.
Yeah, it's going to be really big.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's going to be really big.
This thing is, how are you? You've never, since your last show, since your late night show, you haven't done this, run a show. And are you running it?
I'm not really running it. No, early on, yes, I was definitely
here every day. And
here every day. But I always say the secret to being a good producer, you have to hire your boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I still have to call Kamal every now and then and go, hey, man, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. But he's picked it up, and it's his show. It's his bike, and he's riding it, and he's taking it where he wants to go, and it's getting better and better every week.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Just help the guy out. That's it.
Yeah.
Now he can do it.
Awesome.
Teach a man to fish.
Teach a man to fish, and then he'll come to your house and steal your fucking fishing rod and leave you alone.
Yeah. It's all good. I'm happy.
It's great. Thank you for doing my show.
Well, thank you.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.